So this is the Oh No edition of growing a rose from seed. As you can see, I don't see any more buds. And this is what has become of my rose from seed, a little seedling that came out a couple of months ago. There's really nothing to see, is there? I think I'm zoomed in all the way. You already saw the magnifying glass effect. You see? The leaves fell off, so I'm very concerned. They dried out and they fell off, and I'm trying to keep this away from direct sunlight. The only good thing is here in Los Angeles we have some fair weather. So if the rose is going to come back anywhere, it's going to come back here in Los Angeles because of the nice warm weather we get. This is actually a fern, believe it or not, right there. It's a crazy, let's see, it's a microsorum, superficial fern. And I've never managed to get it to grow more than that. But I saw, stuff coming out through there, and there was some stuff coming out through here, but I think I overwatered it. And so I'm trying to reduce the amount of water. That's a chili. Trying to reduce the amount of water that I put on that one. That's a common fern. Nobody cares about that. This one's the Roosevelt. Oh, I'm going to show you a potted. I repotted the Roosevelt into a neat little pot that I can't wait until it gets full. That's my maidenhair, which was all dried out. It dried out in my house. And that's another maidenhair, which also dried out while it was sitting in my house. So I have all of these potted ferns, maidenhairs, out here. And, the plan is to actually fill up this whole section with that fern. That's what I want to do. So eventually this is going to come out. That pot has been great, right where it's sitting at, and I don't want to change it. But when I planted my maidenhair ferns down on this little plot, I completely dug a hole about maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet deep. And I put a layer of sand underneath and then regular potting soil. Because that's the way these things thrive. And I only did that up to here. So that means all of that has the proper foundation. It has the sand underneath. But the thing is, I defeated the purpose of having done all that work, because this fern here is in a pot and it's using up all that soil down there, which is properly mixed. What I'm hoping is that eventually the spores from some of these plants, I don't know if, yeah, this one's got a bunch of spores. Can you see all of those spores along the edges? Those, supposedly, they fall into the earth and then they do their business down there and they start growing. So that's what I'm hoping for. That's why I leave the pot there. And that's a staghorn fern right there. This one has not produced any spores at all. Nothing. And I don't know how long it's going to take before it does that, but okay, so let me take you to the front yard where I can show you this. It's the cat pot. And you see the Roosevelt fern I got there? That I gave this actually to my landlord. So that I bought that plant for her front yard. That's the Roosevelt. When it gets full, it kind of looks like Sideshow Bob's hair from from, what do you call it, The Simpsons. So what I want to do with this pot is I want to get that nice and full and then just cut it from the front so that the fern is growing on both sides like that and like that, and I get a sideshow Bob effect. Daffodils don't look like they're gonna bloom this year. You know, and I don't know if that little and this one, whether they're daffodils or whether that is more this bulb. Because if that down there is this up here, it's definitely not going to be daffodil. That's the only daffodil I know for sure that isn't blooming. Anyway, so we go along. This is basically my territory where I live. That other section of yard garden is landlord stuff. Okay, so that's where I took the Roosevelt out. I'm going to take it out completely eventually so that this one, which is... You can't really see that, can you? I'm going to have to zoom in. That one is lemony button. That's the trick about zooming in, is you gotta keep your distance from the object and zoom, as opposed, because the camera, you know what I mean. Okay, so that's the horsetail. After I harvested, I use it for my hair. But you can also drink this stuff. But I was literally this year to drink it because they say that it's a good. It makes for a wonderful herb tea, but there's a certain one. I think it's called a scouring rush, and I think this is a perfect example of the scouring rush that is not good to make as tea. The ones that are supposed to be harvested for tea, and remember, you have to harvest during early spring, is when they start expanding like this. In other words, you got the basic stem, gotta zoom out. You got the basic stem, right? And then out of that stem comes multiple stems. And my horsetail here doesn't look anything like what it looks like in the on Google. On Google, they show you these stems, but they're all full. Look, and it actually looks like a horsetail, with all these thin ones coming out. You know, like bushy, very bushy. I've never managed to get it to that point. I guess because I don't do anything to the dirt. This thing grows naturally out here. But that's the one to watch out for right there. You don't want to drink that stuff. That stuff really wreak havoc with your kidneys or something. I don't know what it is. But horsetail herb tea is good for bones, teeth, nails, and hair. Okay? So keep that in mind, because I'm going to fill this whole thing up. I love it so much. Okay. And I think that is all. Another Roosevelt in there. You see how full it can get, you know? I'm hoping it can get that a little fuller. And it does kind of look like Sideshow Bob, doesn't it? I think so. Okay, so that's all for this week. Well, I'll see you when I see you, I guess.